we are going to continue from the part 1, where we're saying that in the the first chapters of Violet Evergarden, it started very well, exceptionally well. But then, shortly after, in the second, sorry, but then in the second chapter, they begin with the first mistake, which is suggesting that the girl with the glasses.
Sweet talk me all day, darling. The exchange is moving in on this operation of yours. No amount of sugar gonna change that.
Believe me, you're going to prefer the sugar to the spice. Take one step closer and there'll be 24 Siths surrounding you.
24, that's a dead giveaway, darling. You got none.
These are your last breathing moments.
Know what you say, Big Shot?
Ha! We've been trained to handle Sith. Kinda glad we get to show off. Kill the Sith.
That didn't went. And well, the grass girl that was presented as a competent writer doesn't understand emotions.
You have
As
a
well
flair for
as
dramatic entrances. I
alleged.
probably could have handled that, but I'm grateful for your timing. You're the apprentice Darth Baras prep for me, yes?
You've figured it out.
The obvious is my specialty. That's why I keep petitioning the Darth for a raise. Haladrel sets in. So you're here to take out Lord Rathari. Won't be easy. He usually just appears, devastates, then disappears. You'll have to draw him out. He's been making some major power plays, and disrupting them will get his attention.
I'll enjoy ruining Rathari's plans.
He's gonna go nuts, so be ready. First, Rathari's been strong-arming the Hutt cartel. From what I hear, they're close to signing over some important territories to him. He and his apprentice Giric are in conference with the Hutts at cartel headquarters. If you burst in...
Rathari would be none too pleased.
Neither would the Hutts. The cartel is an Imperial ally. Rathari can't just beat on them. He has to play diplomat. Unfortunately, the same applies for you. If things turn violent between you and the Hutts, better if there's no one left to identify you.
There won't be a heart left beating.
It could get hairy. Those oversized slugs have some pretty buff bodyguards. When all this intrigue is over and Rathari is a memory, maybe we can get to know each other better.
I know you well enough, I think.
Apologies, my lord. I just thought we might get along. Hey, soldier. Your boss
Non-Sith.
always this much fun?
Yes.
Guess that means I'll celebrate alone. I've got a shipment of slaves to send out, but I'll be here if you need me. Good luck, my lord.
Haladrel Setsin Warrior. The sub-tongued Haladrel Setsin runs Darth Baras' slaving operation on Nar Shadaa. A witty flirt and able liar, she is able to take her way both into and out of trouble. She has a tendency to overreach, but has become proficient at escaping death as a result. Haladrel Setsin came into Baras' service unexpectedly after taking over from his previous operative. She tricked the slaver out of a large number of credits and some of his stock, not knowing who he worked for. Before Haladrel could escape the planet, Baras contacted her and offered her the position that had suddenly opened up. So that the glassless girl is not as competent as she is portrayed is said to be. Just for that. Was this travel? Okay. And I think this set of problems she is on to have will make her more interesting than the protagonist, which is quite a problem. But okay, so far so good. Well, so far so good, not really so far bad, but it's going to get worse. But at that point, it could still be turned around. The third chapter, Violet Evergarden is sent to the most prestigious school, academy rather, to learn to be a memory doll. It starts okay. They show she shows the mechanical proficiency to manage the typewriter, and she discovers her mechanical arms, and everyone else has the same stupid reaction that you can see in reality when people see someone with disability that they didn't know there was. Condescending, stupid looks. And remaining, what is the word? It's pseudo compassionate looks. What a pity, how good I am that I feel bad that she is not right. What about not giving a crap beyond when she's in a situation where that disability makes her need your help to offer it, and stop parking your car into the lowered part of the road to sidewalk of the sidewalk. Duros sector. The glitz and glamour of Nar Shadaa hides an uglier side. One of the poorest sectors of Nar Shadaa, the Duros sector hosts men and women who've been exploited and left behind, refugees of war and casualties of the immense wealth hoarded by Nar Shadaa's hoodmasters. The peoples of the Duros sector, the majority Duros, but with a mixed minority of Evokai and other alien species, have watched Nar Shadaa's wealth grow and seen none of it for themselves. Some have lived in the sector for generations, while others are recent immigrants desperate for any work they can find. The residents' unrest has been stirred by charismatic leaders in the past, from Jedi Masters to would-be warlords. So that, okay. And as it progresses, you can see one minor issue is that there is not really during a pass through the course beyond the initial presentation and use your typewriters where Violet shows her proficiency with that. There's not a single scene where the teacher says a word about the core of the work they are doing. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I simply think that they should have added some brief moment of lesson about what she says to understanding emotions and after this is where she would make the mistake of the previous, where she starts to interpret things but doesn't do it right. Where it is? Is that there? Doesn't matter. This is going to be dead soon. Well, then they go straight up to the end of the course and the final exam. That's the files. We are not shown exactly how does the file, but only that the magnitude of the file is quite big. It's a truly epic file. And therefore it is rejected. And that's good. At that point one thinks, nice, and so now there is a problem. She has failed.
Didn't lose you.
Probably her work is under problem, but that's not something that should stay for long, because soon that guided friend, well, it will be, he will offer her to stay there and another chance of learning or something like that. And the problem might be that the other workers look down on her and despise her, and like Iris seems to think she shouldn't work there. And okay, but well, immediately that is kind of the proposition that he tells Violet that she can stay and try to get to work. I think they then mess it up. They do after that something that probably we will not be able to say, because a cutscene, a conversation is right here.
You would be wise to bend to the great Lord Rathari's will. Sign over the specified territories before he loses his patience.
I am your other choice.
I'll tell you who this is. This is the apprentice of an over-the-hill Sith named Darth Baras. Yes, that's right. My master and I anticipated your arrival.
Have you also anticipated your doom? I have no quarrel with you, but Rathari must die.
Your master should be the one to contact us, and not in this rude manner. Now you risk your wrath, our wrath, as well as Kayrnix.
I urge you to stand aside and watch me dispatch this pretender.
It would be intriguing if you can back that bravado up. We have seen Rathari's strength firsthand. We know nothing of yours. Fight till Kayrnix, let us see who is superior. If you survive, we will consider the legend the signature. What odds will you give me on this intruder, Ivan? 2 to 1, I attack all bets that Kayrnix survives the day.
You're wasting your time. Just die.
Ipunamo, ubanjolipa istimo. Wanchikospa tuta ulia.
But the guys will cover
Our
your cake.
alliance begins with the death of Baras' slave. Attack!
Really? All in a cutscene? I mean, I understand if they don't want to make here a fight between a Basilion enemies that is unwinnable, but there should be a fight and challenging with that option.
Impossible. Lord Rathari will still be you and your master's downfall.
Your master will be as dead as you soon enough.
The game changed companion to Marabai Queen,
Until you need me again.
but I will
How's
pick
it going, my
Bet. Return to Holodriel. Searching Van de Hood and Kutat de Hood, and they are like dead, inclined like that, but Ivan is eating. Yeah, very dead. Cannot attack him. So in the end of this chapter, what we have then is something that is good except for the culmination. One of the girls that was studying in that academy threatening to scream. I will bring that up later. Yes, it's general. Where is that? Corellian sector. Arrives to the company because he wants to apply there and she's starting to work there. Fine. She tells Violet about having a brother who fought in the war and has come back, but has given himself to drink because he feels like he's worthless. And then Violet tells her that perhaps if she dictates a letter to him and she takes it, perhaps that would help her. Okay, fine. And then we have exactly
All better.
the type of letter that Violet should have written for the woman in the second chapter. She makes no interpretation at all of what that girl tells her, and she simply puts it in condensated form as it pertains to her military training, plain, concise, short, and to the point. But it happens that's exactly what the brother needed to hear. It conveys what was needed, what the girl wanted, because it was not really a matter of the girl not being able to express his feelings correctly or getting him to understand her. It was simply a problem that the girl didn't dare to talk her feelings to him. She just didn't tell him, and felt that fearful that if she addressed him he would get mad and make things worse. But that doesn't happen, and therefore it's solved. And at that point it would be okay to say they return to the academy, tells the look, she solved my problem. And the instructor says she solved it, but this letter still shows that all the problems that we saw and that led us to give her an F and a no pass and refuse to approve her as a memory doll. And she will then still say, yeah, okay, she solved your problem, but it was simply because you didn't dare to tag there. Her is not anything at all about understanding emotion, about expressing emotion right. It was simply you didn't dare to say it, and it was just saying what you wanted to say. Just say it straight up, without interpretation. It's just a fluke that it worked. And then you could have that the boss saying, okay, and present to that teacher that say, okay, if you are such a prestigious academy, it should be because you are able to teach anyone to the top level, and this is a challenge to prove that, or something like that, work that angle, or anything angle that would work with that character, and she will then accept her.
Word spread through the streets that Rathari's conference with the Hutts was invaded, and his apprentice killed. No one knows who slaughtered the Hutts, so I'm very impressed. The Empire's alliance is intact. It's too bad Rathari wasn't in attendance, but man, I bet he's fuming.
I'm sure our message was heard loud and clear.
Rathari's also on the verge of taking over the Republic's base of operations in the upper industrial sites. With his work with the cartel dashed, he's sure to pour himself into squashing the Republic garrison.
I'll keep banging down doors until I find him.
I love a man who's tenacious. Even if Rathari isn't there, when his operations are all thwarted, I know he'll come to you. A confrontation will be inevitable.
The PS. But what happens? The woman, the instructor, goes, oh, you solved the problem, how good, here you have the certificate that you've passed, right? Isn't your academy that good, that prestigious, that only the best come out? Then why are you just accepting one that is obviously way far from even the most mediocre of the memory dolls? Because she fumbled her way into the one example of a letter that works because it doesn't need any talent at all to write. It makes no sense. And a chapter that for most of it looked like the series was going to be back onto the tracks of pain, top stuff, ends badly in that note. Violet being given that title, that certificate, that approval without having earned it. Just gifted to her just like that because something that didn't prove anything. Then comes the fourth chapter, and that's the first that that is wrong, that gets me on the verge of leaving them. They make up an excuse by which it is the young that looks down on her is going back home for a vacation, but they make up an accident that she gets an injury, and then Violet must tag along with her because she can't go on her own because of the injury. Okay, fine, that's good. Before college time. Upper industrial sector. The upper industrial sector is the center of manufacturing and industry for Republic corporations on Nar Shadaa. Here, centuries-old droid construction facilities stand next to the cluttered offices of startup firms desperate for resources and space. The companies share a common need for heavy security and compete for similar clientele, ensuring that the sector remains a choice location, but they are otherwise wholly independent. For a corporation headquartered in the Republic space, Nar Shadaa is a convenient place to develop technologies restricted by Republic laws, or from which to deal with foreign parties. The Senate fronts of these activities, but just as often turns a blind eye when these same corporations bring their innovations back to Republic worlds. Then she goes, she meets the Iris family, and there's some kind of party, and somebody that the family wants to invite, but she doesn't want to invite, and it's obvious that she has some kind of problem in the past with that guy. It turns he was someone who wanted to be her fiancé, and she rejected it, but she has emotional trouble, and she's not over that incident. And then what happens? That girl that was so good with emotions gets her problems solved by Violet. Okay, so the emotionally incompetent of Violet now suddenly is the one solving the emotional troubles of the one that was so good at that. And this is not. This is stupid. The one who is proficient at emotions is completely incapable of doing a good job with that. Violet solves it for her. So then we have to use that ability there. I'm going to line of sight that damn, it's bad. Yes, bad is they're fighting. Okay, no. See, it's a hologram. I was already full. Wow, that was close. Because Beth wasn't set back to healing and being active. She must be made active again by disabling passive. And then the final was 5th chapter. I was already too annoyed by the fact that in the end, for all that Violet is completely unaware of emotions and has no idea about them, and the others are also good to understand them, but it turns that she understands them better than the ones that are good when it matters. Then the record bullshit. And those are... That guy is raised. And we reach the level of the planet. Oh, I forgot to take this. Threatening scream taunts our enemies. She's there, and Sith Warrior, nothing more. Rampage. SWTOR finishes the active cooldown of Ravage and generates 3 rage. Yeah, there. So this after this, so we can use this twice in a row. And then, so what I was, yeah, 4th chapter is when it gets way too stupid after this.
Men, fall back. Rally here. My lord, what is the meaning of this? We are on the verge of striking a major blow to the Republic. I am General Clinton, commanding on the authority of Sith Lord Rathari, appointed to Nar Shadaa by the Dark Council. Why do you attack the Empire's men?
Where is your master hiding?
He is attending to other matters. You belong to Darth Baras. I was given instructions to destroy you if you were foolish enough to show your face here.
Let me save you the trouble.
Full attack!
And I know I didn't do what I said. But it worked out. Yes, this the barricade. Destroyed it. Deal with the Republic forces.
Sir, the Sith's strength has been spent obliterating our enemy. We should strike while there's a chance.
After that display, Weglin, I believe fighting should be our last resort. Stay back and cover me. Sit. I am Commander Nolan. I'm in charge of this defensive. I'm unarmed.
That was a grave mistake.
No, men, fire at will.
And that's I am efficient dealing with that grab.
My lord, my base! My base is under attack! The last of my men and I are holed up in the command center, but the doors are about to give!
Get a grip on yourself.
Easy for you to say. You can't see the walls buckling. Ah! The command center's been breached! I've never seen such power. Oh no.
Lord Athari has arrived. Critical brain absorption is a tank. And that means new pants. Fifth chapter. Some time has passed. Fine. And that time could have been used to say, okay, she was admitted. In the academy, and she's learned some, but not really. It shouldn't have been used like that. Some time passes, and let's say there's the treaty that has been, the peace treaty that has been signed by the warring nations, and one of the terms of the peace is that the prince and princess of the countries that were rival before must marry, and the peace depends on it, which is kind of stupid that they they signed the peace. They signed the peace without having nailed one of the most vital points. But because the prince and the princess don't yet know each other so well, and they don't know if they want to marry, and who would let them to decide if they want or not want to marry. Who cares? They would be obliged, forced to do so, but whatever. And so the palace, because there are some doubts in the heart of the prince, has decided that they need a memory doll to make sure that the marriage happens, and helps make him see that he loves the princess, and the princess that she loves him, with the letters. So they want to hire a memory doll, and they contact the company of the protagonist.
All better.
And well, you will think anything, anyone with more than 2 neurons in their school will hire them, will choose the superstar from that company. Now, when we see the leg come down from the carriage and the pan up, we find that the one chosen to deal with the point, with the matter that is of most delicacy, most delicate and most important to the world, to keep the peace and not return back to the war, is Violet. At the first moment, I thought, well, this is fine, because that the fact that they made up that the peace treaty wasn't quite so guaranteed, because this brings in the threat that perhaps there will be war, and Violet might be forced out from her new civil work, and forced to go back to the army, and the boss will need to fight to keep her civil, or and tensions, and what will happen, and uncertainty and fear and stuff. But now it's just so that they pick the most incompetent in the whole country. They know he's the most incompetent on the whole country instead of the superstar. The other option is saying, oh, but in this time that has happened between chapters, she's learned to be emotional. She's learned about emotions. She now knows what is love. She knows everything that is about emotions. Right. The premise of this series is saying how a girl that is completely emotionless learn during the series about emotions. Find out about emotions. You can make the learning and the progress in her emotional understanding and sensibility to happen out of the blue between two chapters of the camera. You have to show it happening on camera. What kind of stupid joke is this? It's absolutely stupid. Your premise is that. Show that in the series. If you don't show that in the series, then what have you showed us? It's nonsense. And I risk it. Probably she doesn't not emotional officially. She's just there to annoy the prince, the king, and the princess, and everybody. And there be some big trouble of emotions for the prince and the princess, and there be, oh, we are not going to get married. We are going to pay back to the war because our emotions doesn't allow us to get married. And then Violet, who is officially completely incompetent when it comes to emotions and has no idea what is love, what is pride, what is anything, she solves the problem for them and says something that makes them click and say, oh yeah, it's true, I didn't realize I loved her, or I've forgiven you, I can forgive you for the war and for whatever, and now let's marry. So that's it. This is the story about someone who has no emotions, no understanding, no emotional understanding at all. But it's just lip service, because in the end, during the series, for all days, science so that she is emotionally incapable when it counts, when it matters. Suddenly she is a genius that surpasses the most prestigious memory doll. And here is where comes the worst thing that you can say about Violet Evergarden. We'll talk to her and then we'll say the worst thing that you can say about Violet Evergarden. And where I mentioned the other series that I said I would mention in the previous chapter.
Darth Baras failed to inform you exactly who you'd be crossing. This demonstration should make up for that deficiency. You want Agent Delicon. You want me. I won't be hard to find anymore. I'm on the roof of the satellite platform in network access. If you dare show, I will grant you a duel to the death. Be honored.
He's a moron if he thinks we're gonna walk into such an obvious ambush. Right?
You can stay and hide here if you're afraid.
Not afraid. Just not keen on striding into certain doom without a plan. Alright. Let's see what's waiting for us then.
Critical rating. That's the small influence again. Small, no influence. We'll see. We'll look at them. Or perhaps let's go back to what we were talking. So that's it. Well, Violet Evergarden, this is not the worst that you can say about Violet Evergarden, but this is one quite bad. Violet Evergarden, the character, is the worst case of Marisu I've seen then. I've never seen one more clear Marisu as her. For all the problems that she has, they're not real when it comes
Welcome. Please select an available travel route.
to the point. She is super genius. She solves everyone's problem. She's faultless. Everybody ends loving her without her having to barely do anything. The closest girl that was the second best behind that, the super genius, super prestigious, and incompetent. Here is another incompetent. And Violet solves everything for them. I have no doubt that in 1 or 2 chapters, that super prestigious writer that they had gets some big emotional trouble that Violet solves for her just because. Bullshit. But now this is the worst thing that you can say about Violet Evergarden, the series. And that is what the series is meant to do with Violet. The showing of someone who is emotionally incompetent, emotionally inept, that has no emotion, that has no understanding of emotion at all, and that we will see develop into learning about it and knowing about it is better done by Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer, we see him start as someone completely focused on killing goblins with nothing else in his mind. He has no emotions, displays no emotions, understands no emotions, or anything about human interaction. So he doesn't want to hold a conversation, he doesn't know how to hold a conversation, he doesn't understand what people say as soon as there's emotion about it. But as the series progresses, we start to see him giving small signs that he is slowly taking on what his companions say and their attempts at. So we have that character with emotional problems. They are shown, they are working, he doesn't get a free pass on them, and he has on-camera development, on-camera progression. Sure, it's quite slow because the series is not officially meant to do that, but it does that. Violet Evergarden, which is meant to show us a character without emotions and without understanding of emotions, grow emotionally, doesn't do that. Instead, she gets to solve everybody's problems. When it comes, she knows emotions better than anyone. Complete failure. Let's now to the codex before leaving. Network access. As the technological heart of the galaxy, Nar Shadaa is home to network access, a vital holonet hub that governs all holonet operations on Nar Shadaa and much of Hota space. Billions of transactions or communications are processed each second by network access computer systems, ensuring the proper functioning of communications throughout the sector. Boasting the galaxy's most state-of-the-art security protocols, network access is the ultimate challenge for enterprising slicers. The wealthy and powerful pay good money for information pirates to break into network access and recover data, redirect communications, or simply tweak the truth. As one of the most heavily guarded places of Nar Shadaa, anyone who manages to infiltrate the network access inner workings earns the status of legend. And that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.